Welcome back. So in order to use the token, we of course have to store it somewhere in our local storage or in our cookies or something like that. We're going to save it in local storage in our setup. Now, we could go and store it here actually already, store it in local storage like this, but I don't want to do that. I want to instead let the login service take care of storing the token for me. I still need to subscribe. I still need to get some data back at some point, but I want to kind of tap into the data before it gets to this point. And we're going to do that using two things from Observables, one called pipe and the other called tap. So let's talk about that for a second before we continue. Think of this as our flow right now. We are going to call HTTP post and we're going to get back an observable, and that's actually the code you see right here. We're calling HTTP post and we're getting back an observable like this, an observable token right here. When we call subscribe on that token, a request will be sent to the backend and we'll get a reply back, and that token will actually be delivered right here in the subscribe, meaning that the token will then be delivered inside this subscribe code right here. Now here's where it gets kind of cool, because observables have some pretty neat ways for you to work with the data on its way to this point right here. So you can actually manipulate the data from this point right here to this point right here. Let me try and describe that again in an image. You can add a pipe, meaning that you can actually, on its way, when the data comes here, to get all the way over here to the subscribe, we can actually manipulate the data in different ways. We can manipulate the data that we get back. We can also decide on how long we should wait before we send the request. There's a lot of things we can do with observables to kind of slow down the process actually if we want to. Now, how do we do that? Well, the one thing I'm going to teach you guys this time is, first of all, to use the pipe. So let's try and do that. I'll jump to my service right here and I'll just add the term pipe right here. And there's nothing more than just adding the term pipe. All it's going to do is it's still going to return an observable with a token inside it, so nothing is going to change by adding that pipe. But what we're doing is we are opening up for us to be able to do different things before the code gets to this point. So one thing we can actually do is, first of all, we can call tap. So let's just add a tap right here, and the tap that we are going to use pretty much just means that we're going to kind of take the line right here, and instead of going over here, we're going to actually breach the line like this and go down here. Now when we use the tap, what will happen is actually we go through the pipe and we send the data through the tap. We cannot manipulate the data, it cannot be changed, but we can look at the data, use the data, and then it'll be sent further into the subscribe in the end right here. So let's try and actually add that tap to our code right here. I'll just type in the pipe. It's very important it's inside the pipe, or else you can't do this. In the pipe I'll write tap, and now I can actually get the same data that we see right here. I can actually get that data in the tab right here. So I want to do token, fat arrow like this, and then I get the token, and let's just for now save that token in local storage like this. So we can actually say if token like this, .jwt, so if there's a token like this and it has a JWT, then let's just go to local storage like this and set an item. The key is just going to be, let's just call it JWT token for now. That's going to be my key, comma, and then we'll put in the actual JWT token like this. So now we kind of set that in storage on our way to the subscribe. So again, notice we get the subscribe right here, and on its way to the subscribe, it's just going to go through this small code we made, like middleware almost, and then it's going to go to the subscribe when it's done. Now again, I cannot manipulate this data. So if I went in here somewhere and said token equals null, like this, just for the fun of it, it would not change that token in the actual final result. So this will not change in any way, right? So it's just so you guys know, this is a good way to kind of grab data on its way to the subscribe and look at it. The tab is for looking at data. There are other things we can do and we might look at that later, but for now let's just keep this as simple as possible. So here we just kind of made a pipe where we opened up to get access to the data, we tapped our way into the data, and then we use that data if there's a token and it's a JWT token available, then we set that item in local storage and we can use that item later when we want to send a request where there's actually going to be a header of authorization with a bearer token inside it. So let's end it right there again. Now you guys know a little bit about how we can use the pipe to tap our way and look at the data that's on its way to the subscribe right here in our system. Let's just keep that and let's have a look right here at what happens now as the final thing. If we go into the browser, we just put in again our username, our password, and let's just see what happens now. I'll do a login, and you'll notice that we get back a good response. If I go into storage now, you'll see there's actually a JWT token available right now. in our storage right here. Happy days. So that's how easy it was to kind of get that token into local storage, and then later we can use this token to kind of figure out if we should send a bearer token to the backend on a request. That's it for this lesson. Let's end it right there. Now you know a little bit about those two technologies or ideas. See you next time. Bye.